What's going on, everyone? Hanging out in the garage today, thought I would make another video on the 2024 Wired Freedom. Since I have the only prototype of this bike that exists right now, I wanted to make sure I answered every question I could to the best of my ability and put as much information out there for you as I can. If you're considering buying this bike, I'll link it below. But I saw a few questions come up in the comments and I wanted to address those best I could, give you maybe some better up close looks at the bike. And then I've got a special treat for you at the end of this video. I convinced my 5'4" wife to ride this bike so you can see what a short rider looks like on it. And also, she's not a fan of extremely powerful e-bikes, so it's quite entertaining. I had her ride this and then also my Citizen bike. I made her ride my custom dual motor Citizen bike, two of the fastest bikes in the garage. So it was pretty fun to see, but stick around and check that out. But let me try to answer some of these questions for you. Okay, let's jump into some questions. One I saw was, what is the IP rating of the bike? I checked with Wired. They said it's IPX5, which I had to look up, and that means it's protected against a low pressure stream of water from any angle. I mean, not waterproof, of course. Here's what I can say about water. I just don't get it overly wet. Don't soak this thing down with a hose. Don't ride it in a torrential downpour. If you're out riding, you get caught in the rain, I don't think it's really any big deal. It's happened to me many times on many different bikes. When I get home, I usually wipe the bike down to get all the excess water off it. Sometimes I'll even hit it with my leaf blower and really dry it out if I think I got it overly wet. But just don't get it overly wet. But no, it's not waterproof. It's not submersible. That's what I can tell you. IPX5 is the rating. All right, next question was about the rear shock. We wanted to know the size of the rear shock. 190 millimeters with 50 millimeters of travel. And I believe that measurement's taken from here to here. That would be your 190. I'm not sure why you would want to change this shock out. It's pretty nice, a D&M adjustable air shock. But there's your sizing, 190 with 50 millimeters of travel. All right, let's cruise up to the handlebars. Somebody had a question about, what is this lever on the left-hand side with the button? Well, that's the bell. The capacity, somebody wanted to know the weight capacity. It is 350 pounds total capacity what you can carry on this bike. So that's rider plus rear cargo. 350 pounds total. There were some questions about the rear rack. I'm gonna pull this thing up a little bit here and show you close-ups on the rear rack. Let's take this bag off. Okay, got that off. So somebody was asking if you could put a battery inside, like the rear rack in here. No way. I don't know of any battery that would be thin enough to fit in there. Between the tire and the top of the rack there, I mean, it's just a couple inches. Typically those batteries that fit in a rear rack, I've got one right here. Actually, this is the rear rack battery from my Grizzly, and it's pretty thick. There's no way that's like fitting inside there. No way, unless you can find a super duper thin one. I don't know where you'd get one that thin. If you wanted a rear rack battery, you'd be best off to just ditch this rack and buy a rear rack battery combo thing and mount that on there if you want to add battery capacity. But as far as fitting inside here, I don't see that happening at all. There was a question about pulling a trailer. I've never pulled a trailer with a bike, but I know there's multiple ways that they can attach. If you're going to attach it to the rear rack, I think you'd be okay. There's this little hole right here in the rack. Maybe that would be helpful. Got two bars here to connect onto. I don't know how they attach, but I think attaching on the rear rack would be fine. I have seen other trailers that attach down by the axle, and I don't know if they use the axle nut, but that would be pretty tough on this bike because, let me take this cap off of here if I can get it off. The axle nut is recessed into the frame. If I can get it in the light for you. That would be pretty hard to put any kind of trailer attachment on here. There's not enough of the axle sticking out, really. This nut is recessed into the frame. It's a really thick frame. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it attaches onto the bar here. I don't know, but if you're gonna use a trailer, attaching on the rear rack would probably be the best. Down here might be challenging. I don't know what to tell you there. You might have to wait till you get it to see if you could do one of those type of trailers for the bike. Maybe this side will be easier to see since it's more in the sunlight. But these axle nuts are kind of recessed down into that frame. So there's not much of that post that sticks out. But And actually that brings me to another point too. Someone asked about torque arms on the back. There's no torque arm, there's no torque bracket, whatever you want to call it. The only thing holding this in place is the dropout and torque washers. There's a torque washer on each side. If you don't know what I mean, let me show you. I probably got some over here in my bin of extra parts right here. That's a torque washer. That's what I call it. I don't know if that's a technical name. But this is what keeps it from spinning really in the dropouts. There's one of these on each side. And that's been fine to hold it in place. This is on my Citizen bike where I've got a front motor on the front fork. This is all I have on there. There's no torque arms or anything, just these washers. They do a really good job of locking the axles in place. So that's what's on the back of this on each side. All right, there was a question about, am I concerned with a rock coming up and cracking the controller box? I mean, I would think if you're going to be flinging up rocks, they're going to be going out the back or maybe up into the fender. I don't know if you could fling a rock into this box. Maybe. I'm not overly concerned about it because this is just a plastic box. The controller is inside here. So even if you fling up a huge rock and smack this box and crack it and break it, you're not hitting the controller. So I would just go out and buy another one of these boxes. They're cheap. They're, I don't know, probably 15 bucks on Amazon. So I'm not really overly concerned about anything cracking this box. If you do crack it, you could just replace it. And I guess that leads me to another question about fenders. Could you add the longer fenders? Some folks didn't like the short fenders. They were worried about the splash. Okay, so putting on the long plastic wraparound fenders, let's start with the front. That's easier. You can do it on the front. They just mount here at the top of the fork, and then they come around, and there's a wire that connects over to the fork, and it still has mounting points. At least this prototype does. There's a mounting point for that wire that connects to the fender right there. So the front would be easy. Yeah, you could put that longer fender on, I think. The back might be a little trickier because the way those work is they typically mount down here, right? And then they come all the way around the tire back to here, and then there's a wire that connects right here. So there's your first problem, is there's nothing for that wire to connect to. There's no mounting holes right there. Now you could find a way to mount it up here, the rack probably, to hold that back end of it. And then you'd want to mount it right here, where this one's mounted. But as far as coming all the way down and mounting into here, I don't think you'd want to do that because this bar and this bar, they're not stationary. There's a pivot point right here with this 4-link suspension. So these are going to be squishing. So you wouldn't be able to mount it here. You'd have to mount it there and then have the fender come down, I guess, as far as you wanted to protect the controller box, but you'd have some unsupported fender sticking out right there. So can you add longer fenders? I'm going to say yes, but you're going to have to custom make them, at least for the back. You have to find your own way to mount them to make them work. All right, now there's a bunch of questions about the seat height on this bike. It got a little bit taller. I believe it was like 35 inches from the ground to the top of the seat. You know, is there a way to make that shorter? Not really. The seat height kind of is what it is. There is a little bit of suspension sag when you sit on the bike. When you put your weight down on this shock, it compresses maybe like half an inch. So it's going to be 34.5 seat height once you sit on the bike. I've got it even higher. It's probably 36 as shown right here right now because I put a thicker aftermarket seat on. This is the wired seat. It's a little bit thinner. So putting this taller seat on bumped it up a whole another inch. So the wired seat's pretty flat, pretty thin. Brings the seat height down. If you're changing seats, keep that in mind. You're going to be changing your seat height a little bit. I've actually made it an inch taller, but it doesn't matter. I'm 6 feet tall because I'll ride. This is the seat all the way down. I don't ride with it all the way down. But you'll see later too, my wife gets on this bike. She's 5'4". It's really tall for her. It's a big, tall bike. In my personal opinion, 5'7" and taller is kind of the height for a 26x4 fat tire bike. I'm not saying if you're 5'5", you can't ride it. I'm just saying it's going to feel big. And 90% of the e-bikers I've seen, they don't care about leg extension. I get so tired of hearing that comment. Well, you don't have the seat high enough. You can't extend your legs. E-bikers, from what I've seen, don't really care about that. They want to sit on the seat and put their feet flat on the ground. A lot of them, they're older crowd or limited mobility, or they're not comfortable on a bike. They're not a cyclist, whatever. They want the seat low with their feet on the ground. So if you're 5'7", you might be able to do that. If you're 5'4", you can't do that. You're going to be tippy-toeing it. So it's all in how comfortable you are on a taller bike. If you're fine just 1 foot in the stops or being on your tippy toes at a stop sitting on the seat, you'll be okay. If that doesn't sound like you, this is going to feel big for you. That's all I can say. There's not really much changing of this seat height. Somebody asked if you could cut the top of this post. I don't think so. There's not much here. I'll get a tape measure for you. All right, here you go. This is what you're working with. I mean, there's not much to cut off right there. If you try to cut an inch off of that, it probably wouldn't work. You still have to have that vertical slice here, which allows the seat clamp to clamp the bar together to hold the seat tube, and you'd be dropping down into this weld. Maybe you slice a 1/4 inch off of there, maybe. But I don't really think you're going to be lowering your seat height dramatically by doing that. I would say just get the thinnest, most comfortable seat you can find. That's probably going to be your best way to drop it down. Put the pressure low in here. That way you get a lot of suspension sag. Maybe you gain a 1/2 inch out of doing that. But the seat height is what it is. You got to be comfortable with that. Somebody wanted to see me take the battery in and out. Let me do that for you. All right, battery is out. I did see someone mention Samsung or LG. Every bike I've had from Wired has had LG cells in it. So I don't know if some have Samsung or they're all LG. I'm not sure on that. You can see their battery pack gets semi-integrated into the frame. And they do that because this battery pack is so big. It's a big battery pack. It's 60 volt, 20 amp hour. And the only way you fit this in the bike is by having it semi-integrated down into the frame. Otherwise, if you tried to stick it on top of this bar, it would never fit in that triangle. So it seats down into the frame. I like it like that. It feels more secure in there. It clicks in really nice. They did change that battery port to make it a no-snap battery. It's not interchangeable with the old model, the 2023 model. You can't swap batteries back and forth because it's a different connection port. So keep that in mind. If you have the older model and you buy a new, you're not switching batteries around at all. You got to use the right one. But I'll put this battery back in there for you so you can see how it snaps in. You just line up the bottom here first. And then just push it. Snaps into place. It's in there like very securely. I do like the battery setup on the Wired bike. All right, well, I think that was most of the questions I saw. I hope you found that helpful. If you got more, drop in the comments. I'll do my best to keep you informed as much as I can on this new model. They should be getting out to customers, I think October, there's a shipment arriving to some folks. So you're probably gonna see some more videos come out on this bike as people get the new version. And now let's see what a short person looks like on this bike. Maybe this will give you a frame of reference. My wife's 5'4". I had her try this bike and try to get herself used to the size and the power of this bike. You know, that's not really her thing. I'm the one that likes the powerful e-bikes. She prefers the gradual start, slower e-bikes. That's not this bike, or at least how I had it set up for her. I had it tuned to the max. You know, she's a master stylist at a hair salon. That's her thing. The powerful e-bikes are mine, but here's her experience riding this, and also on the Citizen bike too. I made her try the most powerful one in the garage, so hope you enjoy this. All right, are you ready? This is a, 5'4" person getting on the Wired Freedom, the new model. This is the 2024 Wired Freedom with the updated 4-link suspension. She's using the assistance of the curb height to get on this bike. This is as low as the seat goes. Show us if it's possible.
I'm ready to die. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Barely cleared the bag there. This bike is huge. This bike is huge. People were asking me, could someone short ride it? I mean,
It's a little tall.
If you're comfortable on a really big bike. All right, is it powered on? Are you ready for your first full speed launch? You are geared up in my motorcycle jacket.
Okay.
Is it on? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, are you ready for the power of the freedom?
No.
I want a full launch here.
Babe.
Do it. Go for it.
Okay. No, hold on. I need to
Come
press
on.
it.
You got it. You got it. Twist it. He's so afraid to twist the throttle. Wow, she's cruising though. Yeah?
30.
You got it to 30?
I got it to 30.
That's really good. Impressive. All right, you gonna give it full throttle this time?
Maybe.
From the start?
What?
I'm gonna try to ride next to you. Let's see
Okay.
see you hit the throttle.
Oh god. I got it to 30. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Wait.
I can't keep up on this bike. That was a pretty good launch though.
Ah,
35. Wow.
35.
That's the fastest you've ever gone probably.
No. Pretty fast. You get it on video?
I got it. How do you like that bike?
I mean, it's pretty fast. I feel a little better with a helmet on.
Twist, do it now. Hit it.
Now?
Yeah, there's no keeping up with that bike on this one. Very good. Such a good sport. You ready to try an even faster one?
No.
You still
I'm
gotta,
ready for that one.
you gotta try the Citizen bike. Come on.
My heart's still pounding.
See if you can do the dismount. Very nice. Wow. That is huge. This bike is absolutely huge next to you.
Very, very big.
Maybe it's because you're wearing a giant coat. You just look tiny.
What do you mean?
All right, let's do one more. Are
One
you ready
more?
for, now this is a thrill ride, but wait till you try my bike.
Oh God. I don't know if I can try your bike.
All right, moment of truth. Feel the power. Very tame launch. She rolled into it. She got going pretty fast there. She's afraid to spin the front tire though.
Yeah?
Are you comfortable on it now?
Yeah. Did you get it on video?
I got some of it. I want you to do a good launch.
I did too.
Here's what I want you to do.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to give it a hard launch.
That's what I did.
No, I want you to squeal away.
Is there a car behind me?
Hit them both good.
Is there a car behind me?
No, you're good.
Both of them at the same time?
Yeah, that's
my
the
God.
point of it. Just hang on.
I'm sweating.
Holy cow, that was a launch. That was a really good launch. That was good. That was better than I could do it. Like, she didn't get any wheel spin at all. Yeah, I got it. What do you think of the power?
It wasn't bad.
Not bad.
It was
It's not as, I mean,
just-
you
I
can
jumped a little.
you can drive it without it being too crazy if you
Yeah.
want.
It's fine.
Okay. Is that your new favorite?
No. But it's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, I should design them and sell them, right?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Okay, is that one taller or shorter than the other one?
The wired?
Yeah.
Shorter than the wired, actually.
Okay, you want to do one more launch on the way home?
Okay.
See how good you're getting at it.
Wait.
Whoa. Wow, that was her best one. Got the tire spin and everything. That was the best one. That was the best one. You got the tire spin and everything.
Oh
It's a thrilling experience with the acceleration, right?
It is.
All right, folks. Well, I hope you found that informative or at least enjoyable to watch. That's kind of my goal here, to give you some good information that's fun to watch. So if you like this stuff, consider hitting subscribe. Talk to y'all later. Thanks.